Hey, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When CJ and I were trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps that people like to listen to? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use too. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. We use Anchor because we live over an hour away and it brings us together as if we're in the same room. The sound quality is better than Skype and more reliable too. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing so, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join us and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Hey CJ, remember that one time?
Oh yeah, it was fucking epic.
You're listening to
Remember That One Time,
the Inappropriate Storytime Podcast
with CJ,
and Chris.
and these are not your mama's fairy tales.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Remember That One Time with your hosts, Chris
And CJ.
Today we are coming at you live from our beds. CJ is just lazy and comfortable, and I'm trying not to die. So if I sound less than my peppy self this episode, I apologize, but it's either this or a corpse. So
Yeah, well, at least you're not broadcasting live from your coffin.
exactly, live from my coffin. And this episode, I don't want to say like we've exhausted our stories because that's never going to happen, but we are going to take a break from your regularly scheduled shenanigans, and we're going to bring in some of our other friends' stories. That way we're not being greedy with all the hilarity. Other people have stories too, you know. So we're going to throw some of those in to the mix. Since CJ has more than I do, I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way first. Honestly, besides CJ, the only people I interact with at all are my husband, his little sister, and my work bestie, who is Kate. And I don't want to say most of these stories, all of these stories have to do with Kate because she has an interesting life that I find different.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting life that I find interesting. And so
That's right up there with our special Halloween special.
well, I've only got two stories. One is a work-related story, and the other is out of her personal life, which is so opposite of ours. It's crazy. Okay, so the first one here, Kate is in our like billing side of things, and she is so hardcore that she, in order to get our monies that people owe us, she has done this twice now. She has called a customer's mom and told on her. And the second one, she called that customer's boss and told on her.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be like somebody calling Doc and been like, I'm sorry, but CJ has not paid her car payment in like 3 months. I need you to fix this.
Garnish
Exactly.
her wages. I heard about you told me the story about her calling the mom, but I haven't heard the story about her calling somebody's boss.
It
That's
is. I don't
badass.
think she meant to call the boss. I think she just called the next number that was on the file because like nobody else was answering, and the girl just kept being like, okay, whatever, I'll pay it. And so she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna start branching out from here. So she started calling numbers, and somebody picked up, and it turned out to be her boss. And like within 5 minutes, the lady called back and was like, fine, here's my credit card. Just, run it, do whatever you have to do, but don't call my boss again. I got in trouble. Yeah. So apparently,
serves you right, bitch.
exactly.
Pay your bills.
Apparently, her boss gave her a what for about that. But the first one was my favorite because she called her mom and at first the lady was like, okay, I'll call back and I'll pay it. And then she never called back. Like 3 months later, she just kept putting it off until she was like, you know what? Fine. Fuck it. I'm going to call your mom. And when she did, the mom was like, I can't believe this is happening. She's slacking off. It turned out it was like her mom's credit card that she's been using to pay it. And her mom thought she was making payments the whole time, and she wasn't. And so she's like, what the fuck? Like, so her mom was mad at the customer. Like, she was mad at her daughter. So, I mean, that is the way to do it. You get personal and, like, get up in your patient. Could you even imagine, like, calling one of your patients' family members?
I wish. But unfortunately, in healthcare, we have...
Oh, yeah, HIPAA.
Fucking HIPAA rules, and good grief, the second somebody turns 18, I can't breathe a word of anything to their parents. But yet, tell me this, why in the fuck are you calling to make an appointment for your 25-year-old son? I'm sorry, but that's just wrong. It's
because they don't know how to do anything that's the reason that there are adulting classes.
25 years old and you can't even call to make your own damn appointment. And that's the sad thing is that's not even the oldest child that I've had the parent call. The oldest, like, of all time, oldest child I've ever had the parent call, the child was 52.
Child? You can't even call that a child.
Like, what are you failed. Yes. If you brought up your kids and they're adults now and they can't even call to make their own dental appointment at age 52, you failed. You just flat out failed. You didn't slack off. You didn't, maybe have a fudge up here or there. No, you just flat out failed.
Yep.
Failed. Please don't try again. Just
go home. Sit down. Local shrimp house. Fight me.
Go home. You're
exactly. Drunk. Well, the second story that I actually just learned about today, Kate likes to go to music festivals, specifically one here in our area that's it's kind of like Woodstock when it comes to like hippies and drugs, but there's a lot of like weird art stuff, and like they've got a yoga class and like laughter therapy.
They do?
Yeah, it's not just music. Like, I think the music is secondary at this point. And unfortunately, the bands get shittier every year. They're stuff that no one has ever heard of. And they're like experimental weird shit. But I think the reason that people go now is like yoga and drugs. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And so...
pretty much. Like, I mean, it's pretty much just like a field with tents and porta potties, but everybody's too fucked up to use the porta potties, so there's a bunch of like holes in the field where people have just like dug a hole and shit.
I don't think it's quite that bad, but
I mean, that's just what I heard. I let somebody borrow a tent once to go to it, and when they brought it back, it was literally covered in shit.
That's amazing.
That's not even like that's a true story.
Well, here's another true story for you. We were talking today about how I heard on the radio that when you're like fucked up on mushrooms, to make yourself like feel alive again, a lot of people at these festivals like smother their face in Vicks Vapor Rub. Yeah, like, I mean, they use it as like a face mask and just like lay on the ground and stare at the sky. And they're like, it's super refreshing, especially if it's hot outside. And it's like, yeah, it's this like pick me up or whatever. So the way the lady made it sound on the radio was like everybody at these festivals are walking around with jizz on their face is what it looks like. And so I was asking her, because she goes to those festivals, I was like, so what is your view on Vicks Vapor Rub on your face? And she's like, I'm sorry, but I've been going to these for forever and I've never heard of that. And it sounds like a way for my face to break out. However, she did say that she got really way too fucked up on mushrooms once, and everyone's reaction to these shrooms are different. And her reaction is that anything that has light on it, she becomes like attracted to it like a firefly. So if you've got like, yeah,
Like a
exactly.
cat.
Like if you've got glow sticks, she will be on that shit. And so she her friends put a bunch of glow sticks together to make like a ball, and they tied it around the backpack. That way they wouldn't lose her. She would just like follow the light.
Oh my god. This is like a bad kid on
Yeah,
a leash
exactly.
story.
And so they'd follow the light. Well, she had like she grabbed the ball, and it I don't want to say exploded, but the glow stick had cracked, and she got it all over her face. And her mushroom infused head, the only way she could think to get it off was to immediately smash her face into the ground and drag it across the grass for like 20 minutes trying to get this glow stick, because she was like, it burns so bad.
Oh my god. I'm just like imagining, like, you know, when dogs drag their asses across the carpet. Like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. She was like ass up, face down, just smashing her face in the ground. And of course, with it being a music festival, like the ground is nothing but like mushed mud and sod. Yeah, and vomit. Exactly. And so that is the story how Kate got fucked up on mushrooms and rubbed her face in the dirt because there were glow stick juice on it.
My
yeah.
God. What
exactly.
the fuck?
I know, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so foreign to me because, one, I mean, the only as close to mushrooms as I get is like sauteed and on my pizza.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm not about that shit. Tell her she better not bring that shit to Plum Nelly. I ain't trying to fucking drag my ass across the carpet.
No, I was telling Mom about it today, actually, that it's gonna be me, you, her, and my mother-in-law. And every time me and my mother-in-law get together and there's any sort of drinks involved, nudity ends up happening with my mother-in-law. And like, we're going to be down there on a beach by the lake, and we are going to be so incredibly drunk. I've got a feeling that we need to like Facebook Live this shit, or at least record some of it to put on YouTube. I mean, of course, not the nudity or anything, but the four of us.
Well, why not? You already put the first nudity pictures.
Well, yeah, that's pictures, but I'm talking about video. Like, YouTube has rules and shit. Like, I can't be flashing. As much as you're proud of your new tits, you can't be putting that shit on the internet, man.
Fuck YouTube's rules.
Know.
I'll show my tits to everybody.
Well, I mean, it's porn, lady.
No, it's only porn if you're doing nasty shit.
You know, I mean, anything is porn if you try hard and believe in yourself.
Oh my God.
Exactly. So that's something to think. What the fuck am I trying to say? That's
look
it.
Forward to.
Think forward. Look. Oh.
Why? This happens every time. You know what? You know how you made a compilation of all my yeahs? We should make a compilation of all the times that you've like majorly fucked up on your words. Yeah,
it's called a word scramble.
Because it seems like every time you're like, you trip over some word and you're like, I missed my
Yeah,
mouth.
exactly. And I should title it Words Are Hard.
Words are hard.
I'll have to do that eventually. I can probably pull past podcast and be able to do that too. Yeah. So that's something you can look forward to. is our adventures in Drunk Plum Nelly, and we'll wait until the episode of Plum Nelly to explain what the fuck a Plum Nelly is. As of right
Hell
now,
yeah.
it's a mystery. You won't be able to sleep until you know.
What is Plum Nelly? I can just see people now. They're like Googling.
And
What's
they ain't
Plum
gonna learn
Nelly?
shit. No. Well, as much fun as my friend on shrooms is, your friends have some equally disturbing stories, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't put together that many because I tend to
Ramble, yes.
ramble. So I kept it short. So I just have 3. But yeah, the first one is and I've been asked to change names, but I have a friend that works in an office, and I guess she just started working there not too long ago, and I guess at some point last year they had a mouse problem, and someone put down a glue trap to find, to get rid of the mice, and she was at her desk and she was hearing some kind of squeaking or something, and she's like, what the hell is that? And she was, being real still and listening, and she heard it, and it was kind of behind her desk. So she pulled her desk out from the wall, and she finds this glue trap, and it's got a mouse on it. And she's compassionate towards animals. So she's like, I got to save this thing. And so she's trying to figure out how to, pull him off the glue trap so you can, release him into the wild and everything. But if you ever seen glue traps, like, they're pretty legit. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do without like literally ripping the skin off of them. Like they're just really, really fucking sticky. And so she tried for a little while to get it off, and he was stuck. He was not coming off. And she's like, I can't just like throw it outside and let him die like that. Like something like that's terrible. So I've got to kill him. And she's like, how do I kill him fast? Like, what can I do that's like not terrible and is gonna make him suffer even more? She's like, well, I can't like stab him. And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna run him over.
What the hell?
She takes him out into the parking lot. I wasn't even there to see this. I'm just imagining. So she takes him out into the parking lot, and she kind of like wedges the glue trap up under her tire. And she starts the car, and she goes over it, and she hears ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk. Because she put the glue trap glue side up instead of glue side down. So it's stuck to her tire. It's stuck to her tire for like 5 rotations.
God.
So she's going through the parking lot with this fucking glue trap, blood all over it and everything, attached to her tire.
Yeah, that's definitely the more compassionate way to go.
I mean, I mean, in her defense, I mean, he died fast, but now he's stuck. His little intestines are like in the treads of her tire, and it's probably really nasty.
Well, speaking of, my husband's little sister beat the shit out of a mole with a shovel once. Yeah, she panicked. She didn't know what to do, and she was already holding the shovel. So she like screamed, and her instincts kicked in, and she just beat the living shit out of it.
As one does.
Sorry for that. Continue.
We found no, I mean, that was the end of that story. But I mean, on that same note, one time our cat Cheyenne had killed a baby, well, not even killed, like just mutilated a baby rabbit, and it was still alive, and we found it. It was so terrible, and it was suffering. And so I was like, Chris, go get a gun and shoot it. Like, you cannot let it go on like this. It's got to just put it out of its misery. And the closest gun that we had was a shotgun, and it was a baby rabbit. So like he shot it, and there was like
obliterated
nothing left.
It.
But I still thought I still thought that he needed a proper burial, so we gathered up all the little pieces we could find and we buried him next to Tulsa and Stetson.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We named him Little Buddy.
Oh my
Foo-Foo.
goodness.
So anyway, we were this is a different story. We were out for a friend's birthday in Nashville last weekend, and one of our good friends, Brian and Faith was telling me that, you know, she listened to the podcast and everything, and she said that
Shout
I
out
can't
to
remember which
Faith.
shout out. She was saying on a previous episode, I don't know which one, but I had said something like, you know, friends can't set up their other friends with each other and have it actually work out, you know, in the long run. And she was like, I beg to differ, because me and Brian were set up by our friends, and, you know, it worked out, and they've been together 5 years, and they're getting married in October. So shout out, happy engagement, happy marriage. But she was telling me, she said they were actually supposed to meet the weekend before they actually met, and something about, I mean, I was drunk when she was telling me the story, so I might get it wrong, I don't know, but I think she was in bed or something, and she's like, no, I'm not going to go out. It was a bonfire or something like that, and he and Brian ended up getting like super obliterated, like bug-eyed drunk, and she was like, it's probably a good thing that I didn't go and meet him that weekend, because it probably wouldn't have been picking up what he was putting down. And I was like, I mean, I've seen Brian drunk 1,000 times. I'm like, how bad could it be? And she was like, oh, it was bad. And so he sent me a picture of him that night. And I mean, you know, those little like, I don't know, like, it's like a little doll, but it's made of like goo, and you squeeze it and its eyes bug out. That's what he looked like.
The hell?
So he sent us the picture. So I've got it. It's on the it's in the little thing underneath our notes.
I'll throw it up on social media later.
Yeah. Just crop the other dude out
I'll
of
try.
it. But anyway, so while we're on the subject of last weekend and shout outs, me and Marinara met this chick in the bathroom of Kid Rock's Big Ass Honky Tonk. And I don't know how we got to talking to her, but she said that her name was Courtney, but she told us that her drunk name is Tortoise.
What? Even?
Yeah. She said her drunk name was Tortoise. And I was just, at the time, I mean, I was drunk, so I was like, yeah, that's awesome. But then the next morning I was like, Tortoise? How do you get that to be your drunk name? Like, what do you have to do for have people call you Tortoise?
Maybe you just get on the ground and crawl really slowly for a long time.
That's kind of what Chris was saying. He was like, well, maybe when she gets drunk, she passes out on the floor and she crawls really slowly to the bathroom. And I'm like, I have no idea. So that can be something that we post on social media. Take votes. How does one get to be called Tortoise as a drunk
name? And what do you think?
Like,
what do you think our drunk name should be?
Yeah, because I don't think I have a drunk name. All these years of getting drunk, and I've never had a drunk name.
I get, when we're in town, I get drunk and then I make up an accent and a new name, but it's not really like my drunk name.
True.
It's just whatever I assign myself and try to get people to believe. You don't know how many times I've become British and go by the name Roxy.
Yeah, I was about to say, you used to do that even when you weren't drunk. Like, that was just a thing that we would do out in public. I'd be like, hey, I bet you won't go up to that cashier and tell him that you're from Britain and you're lost. And you're like, bet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I also, of course, because if you're drunk in a bathroom at a bar and you meet a girl and you kind of like connect, you always have to take a picture with them. So I have a picture of me and drunk Tortoise.
Drunk Tortoise.
Tortoise, just Tortoise, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and I also thought of this. I was looking through all of the other notes that we have for the podcast, and I found something that I wrote down a really long time
Mhm.
ago. And I know there's a story behind it, but I kind of just wrote it really quickly. And I was like, well, if I write just the, footnotes, I'll remember the whole story. And now I don't. And it's really bugging me because I have a feeling it was really funny at one
What is
time.
it?
So this is what I wrote. Boy meets girl. Boy breaks girl's heart. Girl wants revenge. Girl
Dude,
posts
you're
screenshots on
gonna have to
Facebook of boys
re-say all
soliciting
that
prostitutes.
because the phone's cutting out again.
What the hell? Okay, let me
Yeah,
move to the other
there's been a
couch.
lot of it. I
See
just
if that
haven't said
helps.
anything. I'm gonna have to go back and edit out all the silent spots and try to patch it.
That's weird. Anyway, so this is what I wrote.
It literally
Boy,
just did it as you said. This is.
oh my God, what the hell? Hang on a second. Let me move again, and you can just edit this
Yeah.
part out. Okay, how are we doing
So far,
now?
so good.
Okay, so this is what I wrote. Boy meets girl. Boy breaks girl's heart. Girl wants revenge. Girl posts screenshots on Facebook of boy soliciting prostitutes via text. Boy gets busted by cops. Boy goes to jail. Girl walks slowly away from the scene of the crime with a fire following behind her, 100% satisfied. Do you have any idea what
I'm
that was about?
assuming it has to do with Tabby Cat.
No. I remember it was somebody on our Facebook that we didn't really know because we never got the details of it. This
It
is a
was just
long
us
time ago I
creeping.
wrote this. Yeah, somebody on our Facebook, some girl posted screenshots of her ex-boyfriend, well, boyfriend, I don't know if she had broken up with him at that point or whatever, but she was going to break up with him, but he was soliciting prostitutes via
Nice.
text. Like, I guess she busted into his phone and she took the screenshots and she posted it on Facebook, but I can't remember who it was. And it was so long ago. I mean, I wrote this like over a year ago.
Good Lord. I have no idea.
But oh damn it. I was hoping
No,
you'd
I mean,
remember because I know there's more to the
we
story.
don't have a lot of the same Facebook friends. Like, I have probably 25 Facebook friends, and you have like 325. Yeah,
3.
so I don't. They could have been anybody. I mean, knowing you, it could have been like Colonel
Damn
Sanders
it.
or some shit.
I don't know. It was somebody we knew though. Like it was somebody we went to school with. And I'm pretty sure I took a screenshot of the screenshot and sent it to you. But like I said, it was over a year ago. So I can't remember. So anyway, basically, there was this girl that we knew and she was dating this guy and he was soliciting prostitutes
Really?
via
Do you
text.
think he was
like,
soliciting
hey,
prostitutes
come.
via text?
Yeah. He was texting this girl and he was like blatantly like, come suck my dick and I'll give you $100.
Wow.
Like that's like it was in detail. It was like,
They
I want
should
you
have.
to come here and
She
do this
should
to
have
me,
like.
and this is the amount of money I will
She
give
should have
you.
tagged like the county police. You know?
That would have been awesome.
Exactly.
So that's all I got.
Nice. So that is everything.
Try to
There you
keep
go.
it short.
Short and sweet. That's how we roll. Well, before we get to what did we learn, always remember where you can find us. If you're a regular listener, I'm pretty sure you know this by now, but we are we're on Facebook at Remember That One Time. We are on Twitter at Remember T1T, official under T. We've got a YouTube channel. And if you need to reach us via email, again, we are always taking submissions via email at 2 girls 1 terrible podcast at gmail.com. And our website, you can find a link on our Facebook page. And I think that's pretty much it for social media. Here we are, like I said, broadcasting from our bed and couch. You can find us day or night on podcast.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, or Anchor FM. And that's pretty much it for this episode. CJ, what did you learn?
I learned that if I ever go to that music festival and do shrooms, I'm probably gonna drag my face on the ground.
Stay away from glow sticks.
And also glue
Exactly.
side down.
I learned that when you make a new BFF in the bathroom of a bar, you need to find out what their drunk name is and exchange drunk names, and they need to assign you your very own. That's what you need to do. What is next episode going to be pertaining to?
So next episode is going to be kids in public. We all know that kids say and do the darndest things. And that's why some places should have a city ordinance against them, or at least a strictly enforced leash law. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Our stories from when we were kids, our
cousins,
kids, random ass kids that we've seen in the street acting a fool, just all kinds of crazy ass stories. And honestly, maybe it's just because I have a low tolerance for children in particular. We might need to split it into 2 segments because, I haven't even really sat down and compiled my list yet, and it's already quite long.
And I've got an excellent picture to share to go along with the story, too. I can't wait for that. Exactly. And there was something else I was going to say, and I forgot it, but that's okay because I'm medicated and I'm on drugs, not glow stick drugs, but feel better. What is it? You know what? It may not have been mushrooms. I think it might have been Molly. It was one of those.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It was one
nasty.
of those M's. It could mushrooms, Molly, meth, something. I don't know.
MDMA.
Yeah, MDMA.
I don't really know what the standard go-to. I thought it was always ecstasy was the standard go-to.
I think
music festival drug, but I don't really know. I'm not an expert on drugs.
I think that ecstasy is now Molly. Molly's taken over ecstasy, I think. And then what happened to fairy dust or whatever it was called?
Isn't that just ecstasy with glitter in it?
I don't know, but when it comes to drugs, that's the first thing that I've actually heard about that I'm interested in. I would snort glitter all day long.
Oh my God. Okay, Megan.
True story. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps us up. Again, next episode is Kids in Public. If you've got your very own story of any sort of horror stories that you've come in contact with crotch fruit, let us know. You can Facebook message us or shoot us an email. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I had that thought that crept back in my head and then it left again. So that's
all right. You're
am
drugged up.
I am drugged. So again, a preview.
Not your best work, but
right.
It's okay.
I'm struggling. I am driving the struggle bus. So again, something to look forward to. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Sometime in August is gonna be our live from Plum Nelly special episode. So that'll be the next YouTube video, probably.
Yep. Well, here, let me look at my calendar. It is
the 9th.
Yes, August 9th, 10th, and 11th.
There you
Plum
go.
Nelly.
Set your clocks, ladies and gentlemen. Set a notification. Cancel your plans. This is what we're doing. Yes. So remember, always say yes to adventures, for they become stories, and in the end, that's all we are. Good night.
Hell yeah. Good night.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless America.